So for more on this money printing parade and why it doesn't seem to help everyone out, I want to bring in along with Bull Tick Capital Markets Chief Strategist Kathryn Rooney Vera. Kathryn, you know, with the bond market, we've seen yields coming down for 30 years, and so at some point we knew this reversal would have to reverse itself. It's starting to happen now. What does it mean for the stock market?
If this trajectory continues, which I honestly doubt, Charles, that it will, because you don't really have markets ever being overdue for anything. It has to be driven by some fundamental or technical variables, such as flows. In this case, the Treasury market has been driven by the Federal Reserve's purchase of U.S. Treasuries, mortgage-backed securities, among a breadth of other things, which we have come to know and perhaps love-hate over the course of the past few years. So I would say that if we get an ascent, a continued and aggressive ascent in U.S. Treasury yields, we should expect to combat that with talk and then implementation of caps on yields. It's kind of like whack-a-mole, right? When the government interferes with the private sector and the private markets, you know, you whack one thing, but something else pops out, so you got to keep doing that. I think the Fed is averse to running the risk of its, this exercise for the past 10 years and allowing rates to go higher, so I doubt they do.
Wow, that's amazing. So dramatic action at the Fed. Maybe, this whole, if you look at the chart, it looks like we could go even up to 3% and we'd still be in that downtrend, although I don't think, to your point, that the Fed would allow that to happen. The question, though, that a lot of people are saying, okay, where's cash going? We know, obviously, markets and things like that, but I want to ask you both, because you're both working moms, and this is a really compelling story. Shayna Bell of Liberty Township, Ohio, she's a working mother. She's got two young daughters. She was arrested for leaving her kids in a motel while she went to work at a pizza shop. Now, one of the girls is 10, the other one is 2. She says she called them every hour just to make sure, but now, of course, she may lose custody. We know Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen have hinted that they think they can do things now with their newfound powers and new roles for Shayna and others. Maybe some people are saying universal basic income, but Kathryn, what are your thoughts on a system that's just created trillions of dollars, where obviously the rich have gotten a lot richer, but we still have people who are working and not making enough money that they have to go through what you see Shayna's going through?
Unfortunately, it comes to the pain happens on the middle class, the upper class, that minority of the U.S. population that has 401k and has stocks invested is absolutely giddy with what the Fed has succeeded in doing. But when inflation comes about, which is an inevitability, Charles, then you're going to see purchasing power of this working mother and everyone like her eroded in a massive way. And when people say that inflation is a phenomenon that's dead and buried, that's completely erroneous. We're at 18% fiscal deficit to GDP. That's double what we saw in the 2008-2009 crisis. That's the highest levels we've seen since World War II. M2 is growing at an astronomical rate, and we should be protecting our portfolios. But from a more personal sense, it is the middle and the poor classes that take the brunt of this overly interventionist monetary and fiscal authorities.
Yeah. I've got a minute left, Danielle. I want your thoughts on this as well. I mean, the Fed seems to believe they can fix this, but many people think they're making it worse. I want to thank you both very much, Danielle, Kathryn. I couldn't started this show with two better guests for sure. We'll talk again real soon.